Thank you to the deputies for all of their comments. If I could just say, we are, Deputy, investing billions in a Project Ireland 2040 plan, which is mainly focused outside of Dublin. We are investing billions in rolling out broadband to rural Ireland, and our most recent action plan for jobs is a regional action plan which is producing and creating jobs outside of Dublin, Cork, Galway and other major towns and cities. So we are investing hugely in rural Ireland, but I will maybe refrain from comments and keep them to statements on the pre-European Council meetings which I've just attended and the meeting which the Taoiseach will attend tomorrow. As the Taoiseach has indicated in his opening statement, the agenda for the European Council later this week is very long and it's very broad-ranging. From our perspective, the agenda includes a number of extremely important items, such as the next EU strategic agenda, climate change, the multi-annual financial framework, cybersecurity and the economic and monetary union. Of course, Brexit, as many deputies have mentioned, remains a top priority for the government, and the EU27 leaders are also expected to discuss this on Friday. From my own point of view, having attended the General Affairs but also the Foreign Affairs Committee this week and having engaged with our colleagues across the European Union, support for the withdrawal agreement, for the Irish backstop, but also the citizens' rights and the monetary settlement within us are still very much their priority and very much the objective and their route towards an orderly Brexit. Taoiseach has outlined many of the main issues in his statement, so I'll focus my remarks mainly on enlargement and the other items under external relations. As Minister for European Affairs, as I've said, I've attended the General Affairs Council in Luxembourg yesterday, where we had a very lengthy discussion on the Enlargement and Stabilisation Association process concerning Serbia, Montenegro, Turkey, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Albania, North Macedonia and Kosovo. The focus of our discussions was on whether to open accession negotiations with North Macedonia and Albania. The European Commission published its annual enlargement package on the 29th of May, and the report noted that North Macedonia had made significant progress on key reform areas. Elections in April and May 2019 were conducted in a transparent manner, and the historic Prespa agreement, which was signed with Greece, put to an end the long-standing dispute. Together with the Friendship Treaty with Bulgaria, the agreements are examples of reconciliation for that region, and in light of the significant progress achieved and the fulfilment on the conditions set by the Council in June 2018 on the many policy and priority areas, the Commission recommended that the Council should open accession negotiations with North Macedonia. It also noted that with Albania, they have continued to make good progress, particularly in terms of the implementation of significant reforms to the justice sector. It recommended that the accession negotiations also be opened with Albania. From our own perspective, we welcome the Commission's report and we very much agree with the conclusions and the recommendations. Progress of reform in North Macedonia, combined with the signing of the ratification and Prespa agreement with Greece, where they really have set an example in terms of conflict resolution, this deserves to be recognised. While the situation is more complex in Albania, I will admit opening negotiations will very firmly anchor the country on the reform process, and I think that is the right thing to do. A number of reforms were successfully advanced over the past year, despite the current political polarisation. We also welcome Albania's 100% alignment with the EU Common Foreign and Security Policy, or the CFSP, and the Commission's confirmation that progress was made across all of these chapters. The EU identified measures last year that both North Macedonia and Albania should take. We agreed this at a Council meeting in June, and I think now, having done that, having both sides fulfil their commitments, we should follow through on our own commitments, because I think it would be damaging to our own reputation, to the commitments that we made to the stability in the region and many other issues that were raised yesterday. The reward for the candidate countries, I think in particular for the reforms that they have put into place, would be very clear by setting out a path for them to join in order to maintain the credibility and our own credibility, as I've said, in the region. Unfortunately, at the GAC yesterday, while I strongly supported the opening of negotiations, there will be somewhat of a delayed procedural process for various different reasons. What I would urge, and what I urged yesterday again, was that any delay be kept as short as possible. I think October is most likely the deadline now, and that there would be a very clear timetable and a decision-making process for both countries. Last Ciancurla, as part of the discussion on external relations, also EU leaders are expected to underline the importance of the EU's strategic partnership with Africa. We are absolutely committed to working closely with Africa to address the global challenges and opportunities, and we welcome the very strong signal on the part of the Union. EU leaders are also likely to emphasise the importance of the Eastern Partnership, which, as we know, is marking its 10th anniversary, and to task the Commission and the High Representative with bringing forward further long-term policy objectives. Last week I hosted an event to mark the 10th anniversary of the Eastern Partnership in Government Buildings. At it, I reiterated Ireland's support for this programme, which has matured in a challenging geopolitical environment, which will help promote security and prosperity in the region. There have been notable achievements in trade, in the economy, in youth, in mobility, in people-to-people contacts and education. However, more work needs to be done around the rule of law, around judicial reform, around anti-corruption, with a sustained push from all sides required to ensure lasting reform in these key areas. Finally, it is expected, and it was raised by many members yesterday at the Council, that EU leaders would note the 5th anniversary of the downing of the flight MH17. Along with our EU partners, we fully support the ongoing efforts to establish truth and accountability for the victims and indeed for their loved ones, their family members, in line with the UN Security Resolution 2166. Lascan Curla, thank you to the deputies for your attention, and I look forward, of course, to discussing these issues further next week and answering your questions as well following the Council. Thank you.